All righty. I'd like to welcome everybody to the 2025 Texas Softball State Championship Preview Show. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us on this Sunday, May 25th, for our annual preview show of the state tournament. Things look a little different this year with the new format, with the divisions being split. Whether you're tuning in from the heart of Houston or the plains of West Texas or the hill country of Central Texas or even down south, we're thrilled that you're here to join us for this special show that's dedicated to celebrating the pinnacle of high school softball in our great state. Over the next 60 minutes or so, we're going to take a look behind the scenes of our UIL state championships, highlighting the athletes, the coaches, the communities that make up these Texas high school softball teams, a source of great pride and passion. From the diamond to the dugout, we'll preview matchups, share stories of perseverance and excellence, and get you ready for the championship action that awaits. So without further ado, I'm going to start off first with introducing our panel for this afternoon. I'm going to start from my left. So Coach Morris, introduce yourself and where you're from.
Brent Morris from River Road in Amarillo, Texas.
And Coach Maupin.
Coach Maupin, Weimar, Texas.
Coach Cummings.
Coach Cummings, Snyder High School, Snyder, Texas.
And Coach Walker.
Coach Shane Walker from Flatonia.
And Coach Womack.
Coach Womack from Dripping Springs High School.
And Coach Lewis.
Kevin Lewis, Ingleside High School in Corpus Christi area.
And Coach Brown.
Coach Brown from Salado High School.
And Coach Lopez.
Sorry, couldn't get unmuted. Coach Johnnie and Lopez from Bishop High School in Bishop, Texas.
And Coach Myers.
Heather Myers from Aledo, Texas.
All right. So with that, we're going to dive right into our first matchup of the 2025 state championship game with our 2A Division II, the Shiner Comanches coming in at 30-5, and the Sundown Roughnecks 34-6. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our panel, let them start talking about them.
Well, I would like to say that, Shiner and Aledo are both coming out of our district, and we take pride that we were the first district that all four teams actually made it to the regional finals. And so we got a really good sense of what, both of those teams are like. Shiner is coming off of, just winning state last year. They had a big injury this summer. Addie Siegel was a shortstop. She was their closer pitcher. She broke her hand, ended up having surgery right after basketball, so she really hasn't played. And so they've really had to have some kids step up and taking over shortstop. They brought in the Ramirez to come in and take over shortstop. First time we played them, we actually beat them in Shiner, but probably his key issue was his catcher. And I got to give a shout out that he has two class act kids that really stepped up. One is going to be Lauren Siegel, which she's gone through 2 knee surgeries in the last 2 years. For her to be doing what she's doing on the mound is pretty awesome. And the other one is Kaylee Bedecker, which Kaylee took over. She was a third baseman. He ended up putting her behind the plate. And so those two have worked really, really well together. And then he had a sophomore, Reagan Fluid, that took over third base. And that kind of made the difference. And so we met him the next 3 times that we played him. He had those in those key positions. And I think that was a big part of their success. And they've got the experience. And so they're going to be tough.
Yeah, they always have a strong postseason pedigree, with multiple state titles in recent years. And Coach Walker, do you have anything to add off of that?
I mean, like what he said is just, they moved the Brinley Ramirez from center field to shortstop, and she kind of is also their leadoff hitter, who's kind of like the spark plug of their offense to kind of get things running. But they know how to win at this time of year. Like Coach Maupin said, they just, but moving people around, not always easy. But those kids there bought into what he was doing, and they accepted those roles in those positions.
And I would like to say one thing for Addie Siegel. Her dad was the coach they won in 2011. And they found out early in the year that he has cancer and he's battling cancer right now. So I know that was a big lift for the team, that they wanted to do well for not just Addie, because Addie was hurt, but Addie's dad as well. So if you could keep Brandon Siegel in your prayers, because he's fighting cancer right now. And so that's a big motivator for Shiner.
And then moving on to Sundown, they come in with a record of 34-6. Coach Morris, you want to start talking about them real quick?
Yeah, even though I haven't seen them, I do know, their coach is an ex LCU player. So she's, long time in the game. So she's going to coach them up hard. I do know that their pitchers, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're both underclassmen. They may not be, but I know that their pitchers are coming back from my understanding. Destiny Garza, 18-3, and then Bree Gregory, 16-3. So they split time. They've done a great job. I know they have 4 or 5 that are over 500 batting average, like Destiny Garza hitting 600, Brinley Gregory 594, Cameron Jordan 560, and then Haley Marin 530. I just know Sundown typically has a really good softball team, and they're coached hard. And I do know this is their first time in the state finals, so they're definitely going to give them all they've got.
Right. So, Sundown, like you said, it is their first appearance in the state championship game. In their journey that they've kind of gone through, they've had some notable wins over some top-ranked teams in their region. So, I look for this to be a pretty good first matchup or first game of our state tournament. You got the Comanches, who have been here before, and you've got the first timers and the Roughnecks. So if Sundown can kind of hold their nervousness in and kind of play hard and just get through those moments, I look for this one to be a good one all the way out. Anybody have anything else to add on this matchup? All right. Well, let's move on to our next matchup, the 2A Division I between between Riesel and Ganado. Riesel comes in with 29-4-1. They beat Clarendon in the state semifinals. Ganado 32-5-1. They beat Corrigan Camden in the state semifinals. Both of these teams haven't lost a playoff series since starting their playoff run this year. And so go ahead and let Coach Walker or Coach Maupin start us off with Ganado.
I mean, with Ganado, you have a team that's they're really young. Like when you look at their roster, they've got I think 3 starters that are seniors, and the rest of them are all sophomores and juniors. They're just well coached. They got a new coach this year who's done a really good job of taking what talent they already had and refining what they had. But I mean, their pitcher, Sailor Burris, she's something that you need to keep an eye on, because at any point she can just take over the game and just control things. And then their leadoff hitter, which is Macy Holt, she is a spark plug. They go lefty. They're just a really good team, hitting team 1 through 9. I think one game we faced them, they hit 4 home runs off of us, and it came from all over the lineup. So they got a lot of talent, and they're really young. It's kind of scary how young they are. Coach Maupin, what you got?
They brought Coach Harp out of retirement. He's a baseball guy. I think he's done 1 year softball assistant at El Campo. And in the beginning, he did a lot of his thinking pattern was a baseball side, and I think he's really learned really quick to adjust. But I do think they're benefiting from the big school, small school, whether it was them or us. Last year, we beat them in 2 one-run games, and they were starting 5 freshmen. They did have a young lady, Raylan Pena. She was a freshman, came right off the bench, hit a 2-run home run. And so right now, I think he's starting 6 sophomores. And, he's got speed, he's got power. He's, the pitcher's really good. Benavides is catching. She's not a catcher. She's just a great athlete. Being at a small school, sometimes you have to move kids around. She, does not play catcher when she in her travel ball. And she stepped up and done a great job for them behind the plate. And then she's a stick to be reckoned with. She's got a lot of pop. And then again, they got 2 lefties with a lot of speed. They just try to get on. and find a way to get them in.
All right, so Riesel, you know, we played them early in the year. I think we played them the second game of the year this year, and kind of along the same lines as what you said, Coach Maupin, as far as comparisons. You know, their pitcher's pretty good. Pitcher's 26-3. Have another. She's a center fielder and pitcher as well. Both of those kiddos are batting .495. I think they might have been missing a kid or two still coming up from basketball. They had just finished when we played them. But just scrappy, play hard, play together. Just, you know, you could tell that they're having fun out there, and they're also kind of playing for their head coach. We found out, I guess, the middle of district or right at the beginning of district that he had coming off of one of their tournaments that he had a brain tumor, and so he had to have emergency surgery. So kind of the same situation as what we were talking about with Shiner. You know, they're playing for him, and they got a lot of confidence right now. I think it's going to be a great, you know, 2A Division I matchup. And then their catcher is a kid that I don't know exactly how many people she's thrown out. She threw us out once or twice in that game, little back picks, and her name is Lauren Summers, and she plays really good. And then their shortstop, kind of utility type player, Landry Pick, is batting somewhere in the upper 440s. For her batting averages. So, you know, both of these teams have some kids that can hit and swing it, and I think it's going to be a matchup that is going to be another one that is going to be fun to watch. All right. Anybody else have anything to add on either Riesel or Ganado? All right, our next matchup kind of kicks off our third matchup of that day. The 4 o'clock game is going to be I think the one that's another one that is just one that's really intriguing, the Lexington and the Coahoma. Lexington comes in at 26-8. Coahoma comes in at 34-1. So Coach Morris or Coach Maupin, you guys want to start us off on that?
I'll go ahead and start off with Lexington. Lexington's got a pretty good thing going. You know, Coach Robertson, she's a really good coach, but she's done really well hiring assistants. If you go back and you look, 2014, 2016, Katie Dodd was with Coach Barron when they won state, and Lacey Zoke was their pitcher. And now Missy Zoke, my bad. Missy Zoke was their pitcher. And now she's got both of those on staff. And then their pitcher is actually Coach Barron's granddaughter. And so now you got Missy Zoke, who is actually working with Coach Barron's granddaughter, who's a sophomore. I know they got a catcher behind the plate. They've done a really good job. I know East Bernard's, they've got the girl that throws in the upper 60s. They lost that first one. They were able to come back the next two. So it's a really scrappy group. And I know on the coaching side, they definitely got a very good group behind them. And so it should be very interesting to see what they do with Coahoma, who has won back-to-back state titles.
All right, Coach Morris.
Yeah, so for Coahoma, again, we didn't play them. We got to watch them play Iowa Park at the Iowa Park tournament. You know Coahoma. They've been there twice already, or this is the fourth time, really. They've won it the last 2 years. You know, it all starts in the circle with Hannah Wells. I think she just broke the Texas high school record of 80-something home runs, 81 home runs. And then you've got, you know, her counterpart, Mia Klimmer, and they're both going to Texas. So I don't have stats on them or anything like that, but, you know, with those two, especially Hannah throwing 70, 72, that's going to take them pretty far. So, but they can stick it. We watched them, like I said, play Iowa Park. And when it was over, it was 5-0, I think, in the fifth inning. And I think it ended up 11-0. So their bats are just, they're hot, and they're hot 1 through 9. And Hannah hit 2 should have been home runs, but Iowa's Park is 225 dead center. And the center fielder caught them on the wall, basically. So they just got power up and down the lineup. So I think it'll be a good matchup between Lexington.
Yeah, you know, you're talking about Hannah Wells. They also have another girl that has pitched a little bit this year in Avery Rodriguez. She plays some infield for them, and I think she's batting in the upper 500s as well. And then you got, of course, Hannah Wells, who's batting well over 600, and the Mia Clemmer, who's batting 654. So, experience for them is going to be big, but I wouldn't rule out Lexington. Like Coach Maupin said, the Taylor Aiken kid, they were in our district last year before we moved up to 4A, and she was pretty good last year. And she's just gotten better over time, and she's at 21-5 is her pitching record. So Lexington plays well together. Like Coach Maupin said, they're very scrappy, and that's going to be another, I think, pretty awesome matchup. And just looking at our first three matchups of the state tournament, every one of them looks like it's going to be one of those that's just going to come down to the wire. All right, let's move on to Whitesboro and Grandview in our 3A Division I final. Anybody want to start off talking about either one of those two teams?
I start with Grandview. Grandview is definitely a very disciplined team. They have number 13, Maddie, on the mound, the University of Texas commit as a junior. We clocked her throwing about 65 to 68. She's definitely a threat on the mound and behind the plate as in the batter's box as well. We saw great speed. She has a lot of movement on her pitches, exceptional player all the way around. They also have number 7, Sydney Mann, who's their center fielder, slapper, has a very good eye for the ball in the box. And any ball she puts in play, she's a hard out to get. So they definitely have a pretty good, strong lineup. They come out with 33 wins and 3 losses. They've scored 412 runs on the season and allowed 37 runs only. So that goes to show that the mound is definitely where they have a highlight spot at.
And Coach Lopez, do you know, I can't remember her name. We played them this year as well. Their first baseman. Coach Brown, I think you played them as well, didn't you? Their
Yes.
first baseman's a freshman, and she's pretty good as well.
Yes,
Do you remember
Hubbard.
her name?
Yes,
Yeah.
Hubbard. Yes, very disciplined at the plate too.
You got anything to add, Coach Brown, on Grandview?
Yeah, we went to their place when we had a district bye, and I mean, up and down the lineup, they're just super balanced. They've got speed at the top with their slapper, and then they've got power in the middle, and then the bottom half of the lineup does a good job of flipping it to the top. So they're a team that I think is can win in different ways. They can win with power, they can win with small ball, and Doty is kind of the headline whenever I think Grandview, but I mean, there's a supporting cast behind them. It's not like they just have one talented pitcher that they, just coattail right on, but the team can play complete and they're well coached. And the biggest thing is they're going to make you pay for mistakes. If you lead off walk or, errors or whatever it is, that they're really good at capitalizing and punishing you when you make mistakes.
All right. Anybody got anything to kind of follow up with Whitesboro? I haven't had the opportunity to watch them play this year, Whitesboro, but I have heard that they are really solid top to bottom. Pitching is pretty solid. I'm trying to I got a message here from a coach on them because I do want to make sure that we talk about their kiddos because they're 26-11. They beat Iowa Park. They lost the first game to Iowa Park 2-0. Then they came back and beat them 8-1 and 6-1 in the second and third game. And hitting top to bottom was really, I think, what propelled them in that. They were able to put the ball in play. They were really aggressive on the bases. And I think they have they're just a complete team, kind of like Grandview, in the sense of, they'll make you pay if you don't take advantage of stuff that they give you. So yeah. All right, and then let's move on to Friday. We'll start off with our first matchup of the day, the 10 o'clock game. It pits the Robinson Rockets versus the Aubrey Chaparrals. So kind of just I think pitching death, I'll just kind of give you my 2 cents, and I'm gonna let everybody else kind of feed off of that, and you guys chime in when you want. I think both teams have showcased their strong pitching performances throughout the year. I think they have both pitchers have the ability to kind of manage the game effectively, especially in high stakes type of stuff. I think Aubrey on their end, their impressive team batting average is one of the best. They have 39 home runs as a team and 242 RBIs as a team. And I think Robinson's just from in district, and Coach Lewis and Coach Brown can kind of talk about this in a second a little bit more. Their balanced approach kind of in crucial situations. They're batting 368 as a team. They have 71 home runs as a team, and they have 360 RBIs as a team. So I think both of these teams have a history of playing very strong defensively. Coach Ramsey, I played him many times when I was up north. I think you have to minimize errors and execute the fundamentals for success in this one here. So, Coach Lewis or Coach Brown, if you guys want to kind of talk about Robinson.
Yeah, like you said, you gave all the stats. They're known for offense, but the thing that impressed me the most was defensively. They're real strong. If you don't lay bunts down the line, they're going to throw to second or throw to third. They're not afraid to throw the ball around. And then the middle two is probably the best I've ever seen. Turning two, if you got a runner at first and you hit a ground ball, it's probably going to be a double play because they turn it really fast. That's Lexi, and then is the second baseman, and Marshall. I think Marshall's the Baylor commit.
Baylor commit, and then Lexi is the ULM.
Okay, yep. So both of those are really good. And those are the top two hitters, I believe, as well. Lexi's batting first, Marshall's batting second. So you kind of got to get through them, and then the third and fourth batters are pretty good as well. So they're balanced up and down the lineup, and their outfield makes plays. They're a strong team.
Yeah, and to add on to that, you kind of already mentioned, some of their team stats. I know Melissa takes up a lot of the headlines with how many home runs they've hit as a team, but I think you said it's up to 71 on the year now.
I think I looked and it was 71. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean that's not a small number. That's an average of probably 2 per game, and they hit 3 in the series against us, and so they've got probably 6 or 7 girls in their lineup that any pitch can leave the yard. And in both of our games, they had just about as many runs as they did hits. But the takeaway from that was that they cash in when they get runners, and with the top 5 in their lineup, those are some really, really talented hitters. And then those bottom 3-4 hitters, you can't take any pitches off because they're super disciplined and patient, but then also have the ability to do damage too. So, but in our games against them, they're super well coached. They're a group of girls that I think they've got 7 juniors on that team that have played for a long time, and we're part of the Little League World Series team for Robinson that made it pretty far years ago. And so their team chemistry is super high, and their energy is really great. And in our series, it felt like half the town of Robinson came out to the game. In our regional finals, they had fans all the way down and on the back fence, and so they've got a big community presence backing them. And Coach Evie, he's won a lot and knows what he's doing, and they bought in. They're playing hard for him. So and then in the circle, Vanzie, she's going to come at you. Like, you're going to have to score runs because they're going to score 4, 5, 6 runs a game at minimum, and if 1 through 9's hitting, then it can get ugly quick. But they're a good squad, and also I'd be amiss without mentioning. Community cause wise, they had last year one of their assistants, her husband passed away from cancer this off season. She's not coaching there anymore, and then they had a little girl who was kind of real tight knit with the team, and I think she was battling leukemia or some other form of cancer. And more recently, Coach Evie told me that one of their players, her mom has been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. So I know that there's some tough, situations going on in the community there. And while those things are terrible, it is kind of neat to see, you know, a team and a community rally behind that. So I know they're playing with a lot of emotion, and I mean, they're going to be a tough team.
All right, anybody have anything that they would like to talk about on Aubrey?
Well, I just finished playing them last weekend at the state semifinals there in Stephenville, and Cherry is their main pitcher. She's their ace. We never did see the other one, Reed, but she has a beautiful drop curve that we never could figure out how to hit off of that. As for their defense, there was plenty of hits that would have normally been in the gap against other teams, and they caught them. Like their outfield is fast. The shortstop, she's solid. I don't think she made a single error. Everything that came her way, she was throwing us out. Great arm at shortstop, and then the outfield, they're just fast. Good, decent arms in the outfield, but their main thing is in the outfield. If it gets up in the air at all, they're going to go get it. Cherry, she did a great job of stopping us. She shut us out that first in game 1. We hadn't been shut out since February, so that was kind of a shock to our system, but she did a great job just keeping us to where we could never figure out which pitch was coming and how to hit it. So they're a solid team. Offensively, their main hitters are going to be 1 through 5. When you get to the bottom of the lineup, they were pretty weak for us, but they're 1 through 5. They were pretty powerful, pretty quick. So it's gonna be pretty exciting watching them.
All right, anybody have anything else to add to either one of those two teams? I think that championship game kind of promises to be a thrilling contest between two, I think, strong defensive-minded teams, as well as two power hitting teams. And each one of them is aiming for their first state championship in program history. So I think it's going to be a really good matchup. All right, moving on. Our game 2 of the day on Friday, May 30th, features Calallen 33-6 against Andrews 37-8. Calallen advancing to their 5th state tournament. They've won back-to-back state championships in 2023 and 2024. The state semifinal game was I think one of the really, really awesome series to watch between Liberty and Calallen. Calallen drops game 1 3-0, and they rally back and take the next 2 4-2 and 2-0. And just kind of talking with a couple of coaches that were there, they all said the same thing, that it was a shame that one of those teams had to lose. It was two really, really solid teams. And Andrews advanced to their first ever state championship by defeating Sulphur Springs in a decisive game 3. So I'm gonna kind of turn it over to you guys and let you guys start off with either Calallen or Andrews, and we'll kind of go from there.
Speaking about Calallen, first off, Coach Lynch, she's going to have her players ready to go. They're going to be in the right positions. They have the pedigree. They're back-to-back state champs. And then when you look to their main player, Jordan Thibodeau, she's committed to McNeese, throwing about 67, 68. I know we played them last year in the playoffs, and we thought maybe she'd be a little wild, and at times she was. And then everything was kind of hard. So we were kind of trying to time her up, which is still hard to do. But this year she bought in and has a changeup now, so that makes it even tougher. And then she hits her spots really well. And then on the offensive side, Brooklyn met her, and BB Bailey. Bailey's hitting 505 and Metter's hitting 488. Those are their go-to hitters. Any one of these players, for the most part, can hit it out. They're tough up and down the lineup. The lowest average is 306, so that tells you a lot. And then their clutch player that comes through is Alvarez. She had a big sister last year, and now the younger sister is coming through a lot. And I really thought that they were going to miss, you know, the left side. Both graduated last year, but Metter moved from catcher to short, and they really haven't missed the beat. So they're going to be tough. They're going to be tough to beat.
I think this region was very tough this year, and I think the split between big school and small school did that. I know Liberty matched up with Bullard early on in a one gamer, and it went 11 innings, and Liberty won 3-2. And Coach Lentz does do a good job of getting them together. And her and I talked a little bit that I think the coach com really helped them out. And I know she had a young catcher coming in, and she didn't know for sure if she wanted to use it or not. I don't know how you other coaches think about that, but I do think that, you know, allowing us this year to be able to talk to the catcher has been a huge change for the game. I think it's been a big plus for the game, and she will definitely tell you it's been a big plus for them.
And Coach Cummings, you want to talk about Andrews?
Sure. So we played Andrews early this season. They're on our regular season schedule. It was a pitcher's duel. We played them here at home. Lambert was the pitcher. If anybody knows Coach Vaughn, she's a pitching coach. Her daughter went and played college as a pitcher. So I always anticipate a pitcher's duel when we face her. And it was zeros all the way through until the bottom of the sixth inning. My shortstop hit a home run. That was the only run scored in the whole game. But they were tough. They're always going to be tough from the circle. And then they've got solid batting lineup, especially right there in the middle. They're gonna make some things happen. So I'm excited for that one too. I think it's gonna be a good one. I'm kind of rooting for Coach Vaughn though, because she's from out here in West Texas, so I got to root for them.
Yeah, I do know with Andrews, they played Dumas, I think in the regional finals, and I know we played Dumas, and Dumas can hit it 1 through 9, and if and their pitching is really well as well. So for Andrews to put runs up like they did against Dumas, they've got a pretty special team. So yeah, I'm rooting for Coach Vaughn as well. So she's a great pitching coach, a great coach overall.
And you guys were kind of talking about the pitching performances, like the Lambert kid, in a game against Sulphur Springs, she, complete game. I think she only allows 6 or 7 hits in total. I want to say Andrews hit, I don't know, 6 or 7, maybe 8 home runs in that Saturday doubleheader that they had. Cal Allen, what they had to do, they had to fight and claw. And I think the two coaches of this one here are two of the best in the state. And it gives us a great matchup in our final 4A Division I matchup of I guess Friday. All right. Anybody have anything else to add that they want to add to either of those two teams? Coach Lopez, anything about Cal Allen? Anybody else?
You just can't ever count them out. They're always willing to fight. And I'm rooting for Cal Allen on that 3-peat.
Coach Womack, you got anything?
Yeah, they're well coached. I've known Coach Lentz for many years. At Cal Allen, they do a great job. And I just want to say that we've had several teams so far, 2 of them we haven't talked about yet, that lost game 1 in the state semifinals. Years past, that's it. There's no series. And this year with the series, it was kind of cool to see a Cal Allen and a Robinson and a Forney battle back and make it to the state tournament.
Not for me.
What was that?
Not for me, it's not.
Yes, sir, I understand.
All right, let's move on to our 2 5A matchups. The first one, 5A Division II, Pitts Hallsville, 37-5-1, and Lake Creek, 36-0. So I'm going to turn it over to Coach Womack or whoever else wants to kind of start off with this one here. Or Coach Meyer, sorry.
Where we at? We're at Hallsville and Lake Creek.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I mean, I can just tell you Lake Creek from years past. We didn't play them this year. We've been in the Brenham tournament week 3 for 4 or 5 years, and it didn't make this year, so we didn't get a chance to play Lake Creek. But I follow them. You know, Candace has done a great job. You know, taking over that program under Michelle Rosinsky when they had all that success when she was there, and it's like they haven't missed a beat. They had a tough road in the playoffs. But they do have some great kids. You know, 2 really strong pitchers. One's 21-0 and one's 15-0. Let's see her. Sarah Wiggins, 21-0, and Chesney Davis, who I coached with when I was with the Bombers organization, have had tremendous years. So, you know, I look for Lake Creek to be tough to beat.
Coach Myers, you know anything about Hallsville?
I don't, but I do know in years past they've been very well coached and very competitive. So they were at state, I think in 2021 when we were there, and they knew their stuff. They're very well coached. I'm not sure, honestly, even if it's the same coach that's there. But again, they're very scrappy, very competitive. They're going to go and play for sure.
And, you know, I know, I guess just a couple of those two, Lindsay Dubberly, I believe she's a senior. I think she went 21-4 this year. And then Ella Barrett is the other one. She's a pitcher, second baseman. I think she went 14-1. So they've got a couple of pitchers in there. And I think kind of agreeing, not picking one, because I think it's going to be a great game. But I think that Lake Creek is you know, being 36-0, they're going to be tough to beat. But I think just looking at some of the scores that Hallsville's had over the course of this year, and looking at some of their stats, you know, like their pitchers batting .526 on the year. Their center fielder Hope Miles, who also is a senior, is batting .504. So you know they've got, looks like about 5 or 6 seniors on that team, and all of them are kind of contributing in more ways than one. So I look for that to be a good little matchup in our first 5A Division II. Coach Watley has done a great job over there at Hallsville, and like Coach Meyer said, I think 2015 they were there first, and then 2021 they were there again, and then of course this year. So they, like I said, they have played some teams throughout the year and they went on a stretch there of winning quite a few. They played White House, they played, you know, Marshall, they played Denison in the playoffs, Frisco Lone Star, lost one in that and came back in the 3rd game and beat them 12-2. So I think they've been tested. I look for that to be a great matchup as well. All right, and then our last one of Friday, our 5A Division I, pits Barbers Hill 35-3, and then Melissa 37-1. So I'm going to kind of open it up and let you guys start talking about each of these teams here.
I'll start off with Barbers Hill. We played them at our tournament earlier this year. Of course, we play them every year. You know, Coach Fuller, since he's taken over at Barbers Hill, has done a tremendous job. He's been blessed with D1 talent in the circle. 2 of them are pitching in the College World Series next week. Sam Landry at Oklahoma and Sophia Simpson at Texas. You know, we played them early. We got to see both their pitchers, Nutter, and let me look at the other name. I'm not good at names, never have been. Macy Bryant. Nutter is committed to Kentucky. Not only can she pitch, but she can also hit really well. And Macy Bryant's a sophomore, who will probably be his next D1 pitcher coming out of there. We played them tough for about 4 innings. We threw a little lefty spinner at them, and then once they made the adjustments, it was over before we can blink an eye. But just tough up and down the lineup. They battle. They're scrappy. They find ways to win. If you look at some of the scores they've had this year, it's been 1-0, 2-0, 2-1. And that's just a testament to, you know, to the belief in their program and also to Coach Fuller as well.
And then Coach Myers, you want to talk about Melissa?
Sure. Obviously, everybody knows Melissa and how powerful they are. You know, I think they're at 121 home runs, or might be 124. I don't know. They hit 3 off of us a few days ago. But they are, obviously the power is there, but the defense is there too. Their center fielder, Finley Williams, she's just a sophomore and she covers gap to gap just about better than any kid I've ever seen in my life. But they're very young. I know that Kagan is going to Texas, and I'm pretty sure that Kennedy Bradley, their third baseman, has verbal to Florida, I believe. But man, they are so young and so hungry. I know they won it last year. Obviously, they know what it's like to be in this big game, but they are competitors. They don't stop, and they have so much discipline at the plate, 1 through 9. It's hard to even find a pitch that, if you throw it anywhere near the zone, they're gonna put a good barrel on it. But very, very talented offensively, and they are just as good defensively. And their little sophomore pitcher, Aloysia Mays, man, she's incredible. Great spin, great speed. She's a ball player.
And Coach Myers, are they pretty fast on the bases as well?
Oh man, they have ton of speed, and they utilize it very well. Their leadoff Finley, yeah, if she puts it in the outfield, she's gonna be standing on too if she can. But they are very aggressive on the bases, lots of speed up and down the lineup.
All right. Anybody else want to talk about Melissa?
I would like to
Or-
feed off of what Coach Womack said with Coach Fuller and getting those girls ready. This should be a great matchup, and that's one of the things that I want to reiterate what he said. Holly, you've been in long enough. You find those groups that either can or can't win the 1-run games. If you go and you look at this group that he has this year, and that's something they've been able to do. I mean, look at the playoff run that they've had. They had a lot of really close games, and for some reason, some of those kids just figured out and they don't freak out in those close games. So I think that will be a definite advantage with them. And, Melissa will have the advantage with what they have, but I think it should be a really great game.
All right. And then moving on to our last day, Saturday, with the new format and crowning and of state champions and all that, and how the setup is kind of working. I think they're going to rotate this around, but Saturday brings us the first game of the day, brings us the 1A state championship game between Jonesboro coming in at 14-10 and just coming off beating Hermele, and then Brooklyn 18-4-3. So Coach Morris, you want to start talking about Brooklyn first?
Yeah, so I've never seen them play, obviously, because they're way east than Amarillo. But their coach, Mackenzie Vaughn, I actually coached her in high school. Great kid, played a little bit of college ball. So obviously is a great coach because I coached her. But no, I'm just kidding. She's done a great job with them. I do know, let me get to some stats. This is their first time, obviously, in the state tournament ever. So it's something new to them. So I think that might play a little bit with it. I think Jonesboro won it last year. So, that's going to be, again, if their nerves don't get to them, I think they've got a great shot. I know their pitcher, Paige Powell, she was a district MVP. She's only allowed 2 runs in the postseason. I do know that they have run ruled every team they've played this year. Their big hitter, Sierra Justice, their center fielder, is batting .688, and she was the district offensive MVP. They have some other big hitters, Elizabeth Lundquist, batting .562, and then just some other key players, Riley Bennett, Carly Justice, and Kaylee Morgan. So, yeah, that's what I know about them. I wish them the best. Again, one of my ex-players, so it's kind of exciting that I get to watch her coach in the state tournament.
And Coach Cummings, did you guys happen to play Jonesboro at the beginning of the year?
We faced them at the Graham tournament. I think we beat them 18-7. We played 4 games in 2 days, so I don't even remember very much about who and where and what, but yeah, so I don't really have anything else to add for them, but
I know that they get because of basketball and all those things, they get started a little bit later. And I think I said their record wrong. I think I said 14-10. They're actually 18-10 on the year. And their pitcher, Julie Henderson, is a senior. She's the one that had pitched at the state tournament last year. She's kind of their leader in the circle. I think she's 11-1 on the year. So they have some kids that can swing it, and they're starting to play pretty good. They got a new coach this year. The coaches last year, I think, went to Cisco, if I'm not mistaken, to coach at Cisco College. So they're right back with a new group, and they got some kids in there that, their center field, their catcher is pretty good. Emily Turner, she's a senior. So they've got 3 or 4 kids in there, and then again, they're young, like we've been saying about a lot of other teams today. Is they beat Hermley. They lost the first game 10-8, and they came back the next 2 games and swept Hermley in the next 2 games. So again, going back to what Coach Womack alluded to earlier, just that ability to play a series if you want it in the state semifinals. I think it gives us a really good opportunity to see teams that deserve to be there. Not that all the teams don't deserve to be there. Just it gives us that ability to kind of, if you have one that hits a rock or does something crazy or a call or something, you have that ability to still come back if your team can fight through adversity. So, all right, and then our last.
Can I talk about Brooklyn real quick? They played their semifinal game against Lakey here last night, and I actually got a chance to announce it and watch them play. And their pitcher she is the key to what they have. In 5 innings, she only faced 16. She struck out 10. They had 1 hit. The catcher had her thrown out, and the umpire called obstruction. She did walk 1, and that girl left early. They sent 9 to the plate in the 3rd. They sent 10 to the plate in the 4th. And their 2 key hitters, the Lundquist girl, she had a triple. They had back-to-back. And then Carly Justice came right back behind her with a double. And so they do have some really good sticks, but their pitcher did a really good job. And one of the things that they really ran the bases well. For 1A, she did a really good job of having that group. They did a lot of delay steal. And I think it kind of caught Lakey off guard. And so they're a very good, solid, well-coached group.
Anybody else? Before we move on, Coach Lopez, you have anything? Okay. All righty. Then we'll move on to our 6A Division II between Forney, 32-1-1, and Humboldt Kingwood, 33-4-1. So we'll start off with Coach Womack. You can talk about Kingwood if you don't mind.
Yeah, Kingwood beat us up pretty good in the state semifinals, 7-1 and 16-6. They got some hitters from the top lineup to the bottom. Great pitching, Hunter Quintel. If I'm mispronounced that name, I do apologize. 17-3, but she can also hit a ton. I want to say they hit 5 or 6 home runs off of us in the 2-game span. From a fan standpoint, it's kind of a cool thing to see Kingwood make it to the state tournament because they're coached by a legendary Krista Williams, who is a UT All-American, two-time gold medalist. Last year, she brought her squad to the state tournament, and they didn't get a chance to play at UT because of weather. They played at Eastview. And so it'll be kind of interesting to see, as a fan, Coach Williams step on the field again at Red McCombs. But like I said, they're solid top to bottom. They played really good defense against us. Their catcher's top notch. He threw out a couple of our runners. And if any of y'all know anything about us, we do run a lot. And so it kind of took a little bit away from what we do very well offensively. But like I said, just a solid bunch, well coached, Coach Williams, Coach Mata, and the rest of the staff. So really looking forward to this matchup. And want me to say a few words about Forney as well?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I know Coach Idle for many years, dating back to his Hallsville days, when he coached there and brought that 2015 team to the state tournament. They can hit. They can pitch. We played them last year, played them tough in the Brenham tournament, and they ended up beating us. But, their first year in 6A, I am not surprised to see them exactly where they're at.
And off of that with Forney, they have 2 pitchers in Kaylee Slade, who's a senior, and I think her name is Emmy Santos, if I'm not mistaken. They pretty much have shared a game each, so one's 17-0, one's 17-2. So I think it's, like you said, he's it's been what, 6 years since I think the last time he came was 2019, if I'm not mistaken. He went back to back 2018, 2019, and it's been a little gap in there, but he does a phenomenal job there. He's a great coach. Both of these two coaches, I think, are top notch, and I think it's an intriguing matchup because, like you said, with Krista Williams coming back and stepping on the field at McCombs for the first time in a while, and you got Coach Idle who's been there and coming back, and two teams that are predominantly powerhouses, and so I think it's going to be a great matchup. Does anybody else have anything they would like to add on either of those two?
Yeah, one more thing with Coach Williams. As we know, she was the pitcher of the first UIL state championship as well back in 93, 94. So yeah, it's just very unique. As a coach, I hate to lose, and Coach Williams will tell you that. But as a fan, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun matchup. Two people that I respect tremendously, and I'm just looking forward to a great game.
All right, and then our final matchup has Waco Midway coming back again from a year ago, and then League City Clear Springs. So, Coach Brown, you want to start off with talking about Midway?
Yeah, we haven't played them this year, but we scrimmaged them last year. And I mean, they're very well coached, and I just remember that they had so much depth that it was kind of hard to tell where the lineup started and stopped. And culturally speaking, they just know how to win. And I would imagine, after last year's heartbreak in the state championship versus Weslaco, that they're very motivated and are going to come into this game with the right mindset to win it this year. And I think I'd be willing to bet on them to pull it out this year, kind of for that reason alone, because they have the talent, they have the coaching, they have the culture, they've got the motivation. And so I think Midway is going to have a strong contention this matchup.
Coach Myers, you played them, didn't you?
We did. We played them early on. We try to schedule them every single year. I agree with what you just said about them being well coached. She's so impressive. They're usually in the third base dugout, so I get to hear a lot of things that she says to her pitcher whenever I go over there on offense, and she knows what to do. I'm pretty sure that she played at Baylor and she was a catcher at Baylor, so she knows how to talk to her pitchers and get them to compete. And Phillip what's her first name? Peyton Phillip is her little sophomore catcher that's been just dominating lately. And I know it's 100% because of what Coach Williams is doing over there. She's a great coach, and she gets them to play every single game. Obviously, they have the talent, but it takes more than that. They're a good team. They love each other. They play together, and my money's on them as well. I want to see them go get it, especially after what happened last year.
And then League City Clear Springs, have you seen them, Coach Womack, by chance?
I haven't seen them play, but I watched some highlights of the Katy game where Clear Springs hits the walk-off home run to advance. I believe they just played one game.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the second round? Was it
Third round?
And so they're hot. They played East Central in the state semifinals. We played East Central at our tournament. East Central can hit a ton. Looks like it was a high-scoring affair. This one might come down to pitching, though. This matchup, if they can find a way to keep Midway off balance, that's going to be the key for them. But they can hit. And I do know that, just based on a little bit that I've followed over their playoff run.
Yeah, and I haven't. We were going to scrimmage Midway this year, but we weren't able to do that. But like y'all said, Peyton Phillip, she's 19-2, I think, on the year, and just they can swing it top to bottom. I think matchup wise, as far as hitting, these two teams, both of them can swing the bat. Both of them have been tested throughout the season, and I think it's going to be an unbelievable game as our last one to crown the 6A state champion for Division I. So with that, does anybody have anything else they would like to add before we end this call?
I'm just excited to see how it's going to play out with the D1 and D2 and see if these are going to be real competitive games going head to head, or if there's going to be some blowout matches because other teams are set in D2 and not in D1, what we would usually normally see in a state playoff game.
I just want to say that I'm looking forward to it. It's to me, football went to the 2 state champion format 30 years ago, and I knew it was coming to the rest of the sports eventually. And I'm looking forward to see how it plays out. There's a lot of good teams there, well-coached teams. There are a lot of great teams in the state semifinals as well. And, just to make it this far on championship Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, just says a lot about these girls, coaches, communities, and I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
All right, I'd like to thank each of you guys for giving up your Sunday afternoon here on Memorial Day weekend. And again, I'm Coach Mann. I'm the first vice president of TGCA, and I'd like to thank everybody for being on this call and thank everybody who's watching this preview show, and hope to see you there next week, and have a great state tournament again. Thank you.